Why 140 million of people cannot produce one MrBeast? This question has haunted me for years and decades. So 3 days ago, I watched a video from MrBeast's self-made life story. And the same night, I went to bed and woke up in the midnight before the sky lights up. My brain gets super excited and I took notes, and then till I fall asleep again, I finished 2 pages of answers that might answer my question. But I think I don't need it anymore. I could just fill it out with my life story in it to answer the question. I don't know how much traffic YouTube will give me for this video. It's quite discouraging for those traffics, I guess, in those old videos I shooted. And anyway, as long as someone watches it, it's worth it. So I'm gonna do it. I had my very honor to get acquainted with a famous professor. Well, maybe not too famous. He is an American professor who worked in China, the prestigious school for decades, and now he's retired. So when we get close, he told me China's school system is like making sausages in factory. At first, I didn't give any reactions to his answer. So my inside of heart feels like, what? I cannot let him to tell me like that. I cannot let him to attack China's school system, because China's school system has changed my life. But I didn't react to it. I just said nothing because our school told us not to be aggressive. Our school told us to be moderate, to be gentle. And things goes back later on. I was doing my project to study China's education. I want to do a project to analyzing China's education since it's related to my business ideas. So we had regular talks, we talk frequently. I just get some random thoughts about China's school system, but I had some difficulty to connect them together. And then years later, after I watched that video, it's a turning point. It makes me to find my inspirations to connect the dots. So here is my life story. I would illustrate it. And I think the professor's idea is true. China's school systems are just like making sausages in the factory. Here is why. Before I entered my high school in China, I came from a rural village in South China named Red Beach. So before I entered to the 4th grade, I just moved around to live with my paternal grandparents and maternal grandparents to study my 1st to 3rd school's life. And I still remember, maybe when I was 6 years old, when I shared the school time with other kids at my paternal grandparents' place. The school has only 16 students at all. It's not like we have small classes. It's because the whole village only has 16 students for the whole school. So the only moment I still remember is the whole class laughed at me because I made a mistake. And the teacher said, "You will never manage to get into a prestigious school." I still remember that moment. Everybody loves me and how hard my face is. I still remember that moment. So when I was selected to enter the most #1 middle school in the county, I feel very proud of myself. The girl who was being laughed at in front of the whole class, she enters the #1 school as the #1 student in the whole school, in the elementary school. And I still remember that. It's because my elementary school life gave me so much attention. As I said, I came from a poor village in South China. So my parents left me when I was 2 for getting a job in different provinces. And I have to stay with my grandparents. And I was so-called left behind child. And in my family, I didn't really get much attention when I have to go to the boarding school at 9 years old. And the boarding school doesn't really give us so much resources. Also for the living environment is disaster. And I have some privileges in that elementary school. I have to perform well and make me being selected so I could have my own places even though it's small. The other students, they have to share the same roof where it contains hundreds of students. 2 people shares one bed and with up and down beds, like with a staircase. So that time, me being a broadcaster, I have my special room to just broadcast some news about the school, also read some articles for the whole campus. And I was also the chairman of the school, being selected to manage the whole group to make sure they obey the school rules and so on. So I was living in a happy land that time before I entered my middle school in the county. I was living in a fancy world. Like, yeah, I have so much privileges. Maybe I could continue my life there. So the turning point happens again. When I entered the middle school in the county, it's actually a middle school gathered around the top students from everywhere in the same county. And the middle school is new built. We only have 3 buildings in our campus. It's like a prison. So 1 for classroom, 1 for canteen, 1 for dormitory, and there's no grasses, no trees, just some grounds filled with stones. And I still remember the time, like we trained like soldiers. We have to get up, wash up quickly to get out and do some exercises in the ground. And I remember it because I get punished. If we didn't manage to get out of the door from the dormitory, the director from the school, he will close the door, so it would just prevent students get into the ground again. Those students who closed behind the door, they will get punishment. The punishment is we have to run 20 rounds around the ground. It's like 200 meters for a round, and we have to finish 20 rounds. Like the rounds feel like small stones, and after that we have to do frogs jump for like 20 rounds also around the, maybe not 20 rounds, 10 rounds around the ground. I still remember it because when everybody of the morning class, like usually we recite our articles, textbooks during it before we had breakfast, and they just rush from the classroom and into the canteen, and then after they finish their breakfast, we're still doing the frog jumps on the ground. It was humiliating, and that's my only time to get punished. Yeah, it's horrible, and I don't want to get punished again. And it turns out we have to wear school uniforms, and if you don't, you will get punished as well. The school take the uniform as a equality sign. It's like, oh, no one knows how other students' family backgrounds, so they won't be prejudice, discriminations, and so on. But they classify and rank each student. Every examination we took, the teachers, they would connect the data, the scores we had, and then they sign up to the school board and let them to make a decision. So there always a board used the red paper to rank each student. Usually those first 50 students among the class, each grade, they could be named on that red board. And I never have been there because the competition is so fierce. And I was super frustrated because I lost my aura. I don't have that aura again. And I still get punished. I'm not that students get privilege ever again. And I'm just a normal student among them. I might be nobody. And then there's a huge contrast because in the elementary school, everybody knows me, and I have some thing that I'm better than other students. But in the school, the middle school, I'm nobody knows me. I'm just like a walking body in that time. I don't feel proud of myself. It's like the number one girl who left the rural village is gone. Yes, she left and she's gone. And till then, like our middle school is prepared to go to the high school, number one high school, Naval County. I entered because our middle school is like a preschool for that school. And I still remember it because when I feel my feelings to go to a high school, I was actually wanting to go to a high school in the municipal, in the province. So maybe I could learn some advanced knowledge and get some advanced resources from there. But the teacher, my advisor in the class, he changed my forms, also persuade my parents to stay with other peers into the high school. And I didn't know why. Probably they think I could get better education there next to our middle school. But it turns out after I graduated, it turns out they just want to make money from that. Every student, they prepared to go to this high school next to us. Every student made it to get into there. The advisor from this class, they get 200 RMB each. So, okay, I became a money machine by someone. Like, don't teachers has to be teach, right? So there was time like I was super aggressive. I don't really listen to them. Like I lost my trust for my teachers, and when during high school, I still lost my confidence, my hope for my future. So the first year, I remember it like when we enter the school, we have a separation examination to decide which class you are going to. I thought it's just a normal test, but it turns out they're just classifying like how much potential we have, so they could separate us in different classrooms. And that time in the first grade, the high school first year, we don't really separate into different paths. So I entered in one of the classrooms, and then in the end of the year, the first year, we have to take another test to decide which path you choose. And after you finish the test, you actually have your decision to make, like if you want to go to the natural science or the humanities. So I prepared my whole life to go to the natural science path before there is any reformation. But there was a lecture. The director teaches us that give us a speech like there are always 1 out of 3 person who is the genuine leader, and that person is from humanity subject. And the whole speech is brainwashing. You can imagine it. I prepared my whole life to go into the natural sciences, but in the end, I chose the humanities. Doesn't it's sarcastic? It's like then the classification is even more clear. I doubted my choice. Like, should I still stay in the humanities path? Because I saw the difference between the natural science path and the humanities. The natural science path, they have 2 outstanding classrooms, which from those classrooms, the teachers thought they have the most potential to get into the Chinese Ivy schools. And they also have a B class and the A class. B class is superior to A class. Students who study the B class, they have potentials to get middle levels schools in China. And in humanity path, we only get a path, also 2 classrooms, maybe for those students who could enter in the middle level schools, and I was one of them. But I didn't really get much resources because the 2 classes are actually competitive, and all the good resources are moved to our next classroom because the advisor from that classroom, he is actually the director from the humanities path. And it turns out I didn't get much paths, didn't get much resources, sorry. So in the high school, every day we have to run to the canteen. If you are late, you would lost your food. And we never allowed to take our electronics into the classroom. The tiny classroom holds 77 students in the same space. And each desk, like front and behind, is so narrow. And we have no AC, we only have fans. In the winter, the classroom was super cold. And we have to jump to make ourselves warmer. But it's even more military training system, like the teachers get the information from the president of the school, like they have to learn from the school's famous styles, military trained, like we have to get up at 5 and off school at 11 p.m. So the teachers encouraged us to do that. And I still remember the final year, every day when I get up, go to the school at 5 a.m., the sky is so dark. There was no one there. And the boarding school is still so strict. They have to turn off the light at the same time every day. And the canteen is run out of food. We don't really have much nutrition, but we have to wear uniforms, no devices, no making mistakes. That's the most clear thing about the high school. I still remember it. Every day we have to sign some papers, to fill out some papers, examinations from some schools that are famous, not belong to us, obviously not belong to our level. So we get a super low grade after we finished the examination, and our confidence was beaten. And it turns out I started to doubt my future again. I mean, in the first year, I used to help people to learn English, to learn Chinese, to teach them and helping them to improve, to make some progresses, make me feel fulfilled. And in the last year, I have to deal with those tremendous paperwork. I just finish one, listen to, get scores, listen to the teachers to explain it, no mistakes made, and maybe I haven't digested yet, I have to take another one. And the teachers give us ranks for the whole class, how much scores, and the numbers, ranks, and so on. We buried our heads with piles of papers, and you don't really know why. And if you ask some questions beyond those papers, the teacher won't answer you. And finally, I went through the 3 years again, made it, even though it's tough. So I still remember the day when I finished the college entrance exam, aka Gaokao, the most important exam to determine your future, your work, your college is all determined in this examination. I don't really have much feelings about that exam. I just remember I walk alone to home and no celebration at all. It's not like those celebrations from the internet. I'm just being silent. That's all. And when everybody yells different parties, I still keep my silent. And I still cannot believe that examination is so much important. Even though the teachers keep telling us, as long as you finish the examination, the tough life you went through is going to be much better. Does it? So after the examination, after I graduated, get my high school diploma, I had a chance to have fun with one of my teachers. We sort of close when I had tough time during the high school. He used to be there to listen to me a bit and spend some time with me. So I met him. He has a question. He asked, "Why are you still wear your uniform?" I didn't realize that. Like, why I'm still wear my uniforms? And then I just like hindsight, like, oh yeah, I have to wear my uniforms from middle school till high school for 6 years. I didn't really have my own clothes. And when the school life is gone, I don't really know what to wear. And I still remember since then, in the summer vacation before I went to the college, I actually don't know how to play and kill time during my leisure time. It's like when you work something in the pipeline for so long, you don't really know what to do next when it stopped. So, yeah. And I remember I didn't perform well because I changed so many answers during my examination. So I entered at just a middle level, maybe lower than middle level school. So I entered there, and then I was like, maybe if I change the environment, I could be different as well. Ever since I get my diplomas and I enter college, not so bad, not so good, but I made it from a village girl to a higher education school. Oh, even though since all my peers during my elementary school, middle school, high school, they always we never seen each other again. So I made it. It's a long journey for me to reach there. And then I spent my life for 4 years there. The only thing I found is the teachers who works in the college, they only read the slides. I was full of hope, like, yeah, from the impressions from my peers in the past, they always thought I could be a good teacher or good writer. So I assigned my feelings for my majors, like full of teachers related or writers related. I chose the Chinese language and literature as my number one choice. And I get disappointed. Like, what's happening right now? If they read slides, I can do it now. And it even gets worse when I found that those slides I came from years ago. They never changed it. So the slides are full of characters. They basically just read it. I'm questioning if that's teaching. What is it for? I can read. Then why I have to suffer so much to enter a school like this? And I was like, yeah, so never mind. So I quit. Like mentally, I didn't really enjoy the school life. Basically, I just learned it passively. I didn't really want to get a high score. Never mind. So the turning point happens one day when I was like, suddenly I just heads up, listened to one teacher, and I remember that was a ancient Chinese literature history. It was talking about the poetry and lyrics from Tang Dynasty and Song Dynasty, and I was attracted to it. So I got the top one scores from that class. From my major, I got 97 scores out of 100, and I was number one student among 88 students in the whole major. And since then, I started to prepare. I finally reignited my passion again. So maybe I could do something different. And yeah, I could also like this teacher could change the path, change my attitude for this. So I started to learn positively, actively, and then I earned some scholarships. And then when I was about to find an internship, we got a chance, like some schools, employers want to employ some students from our place, and I went there as a top one student. No. Yes. So there was 3 females and 1 male. And that boy actually is like the only one and not performed that outstandingly than the 3 of us, the other 3 female girls. And that teacher, that employer chose that male because they thought the female teachers are common, so they want something different. And I lost my chance. But I still have my passion to teach people. So I got that employer's contact. I asked her, like, I really want to do something. Can I have another chance? So I tried as hard as possible, that woman is willing to give me another chance. She gave me an offer to work at a preschool where I could be assistant teacher to look to teach 5 years old students. And then I went there every day, was like so happy, and then went there, worked so hard to perform well, so I could finally be a teacher to change students' life. And the more I was happier, the more disappointed I get. So I remember there was two naughty kids. One is boy, one is a girl. They are super, like, they act differently from their peers. They would ask some questions like the others haven't really realized it. They ask questions about the nature, like why this and why that. But the teacher, the main teacher, they always criticize them. They want to train them like act normally like other students. But I was super impressed by them. I cannot imagine like for 5 years old kids could ask those questions. It's like beyond the knowledge. I love them actually, but every time when I feel like I'm impressed by them, every time the teacher would shout at them and punish them. And then I also find the environment for them, like the teachers just prepare some junk food they bought from some streets and not clean enough, not full of nutrition at all for 5 years old. But their parents, the kids' parents, they paid for a ton for that. They didn't get the same quality of treatment. So since then, I act passively, and then after 2 weeks, they fired me. Yeah, at that moment, like being fired for my first time for whole life, I was lost again actually. How come? How did I get there? I was fired, you know? And since then, I still confused. I was confused about my future because I already arrived on my last year for my college. So that time everybody was prepared for a examination for the graduate school. I don't know why, I just joined them. I just joined them. Maybe it's also psychologically proof, social proof. Yeah, so I prepared first, I failed. And I prepared twice, I made it. The first time, like when I failed, a lot of my peers, they just laugh at me behind my back, like, oh, how dare you could choose such prestigious school for your college background. I don't trust them. The second time, I make it even much more challengeable. I changed my subject, like I changed into a subject that's not from my subject I learned. I changed a totally different subject. I changed into another prestigious school. Then I thought maybe I could prove it. I can do it. And then I changed, also think deeply, like why I failed the first time. Did I really just being unreasonable for my ability or not? So I changed strategies to learn. I started not to go to the library every 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. Go back to the room at 11 p.m. I changed my full strategy and I made it. The second round, I just being lazy, but I make sure my sleep is well, my nutrition is well, and also just learn it when you learn and how workouts. Make sure you are at peace. So I made it. Then I finally entered in a prestigious school in Shanghai. And from there, I see so much differences between the East China and the Middle China, also the South China. I feel like so honorable. I feel like I changed my life. I could have a bright future again. And it's like the village girl finally reached a higher level. There's some of my peers never could reach there and go there like I do from such a tough life experiences, life journey. So I still hold my folk hope, still act like a kid, and then finally I enrolled in this graduate school as a number one, even out of those students who came from the original subject. I was invited to give lectures for those students who was also prepared for the examinations. So I gave them 4 lectures. Some students just came to me and asked me more questions. I feel so happy about it. And then I'll think, oh yeah, I could make some differences. I could really do it. And by that time, that thing I just hold on because I have to make a living to pay for my life expenses in Shanghai. I have to pay for my tuition, my life expenses, and the expenses there is actually a lot for me to pay for it. So that time I used the services from our school platform. I chose to be a private tutor and start step by step. Then I made some money for me to make a living, to offer some decent life finally. But when the COVID came, also for the policies, like the the government aim to alleviate the burden from the students because they have heavy homework. Also, they make sure the resources to all of students are equal. They don't allow private tutor, but just policy, like in general. Some students still do it privately or illegally, but our school platform has to shut it down. And that means I lost my access to find another job to make money. Then luckily I have some expenses, savings to just afford the expenses during the graduate school. So since then, I still keep thinking, like, if I could make a difference, how can I make it impact for a large group? So I think about write my journey to share my experiences. How can I enter in a prestigious graduate school from a rural area and then I write articles, share my experiences, also some resources to enter in. Those resources you usually have to spend a ton of time to collect them. So I share them all on the social media platforms for free. And then I got a lot of subscribers and also built my online community. Also, I hold some online lectures for them to answer their questions sometimes in the community. So I have to teach them for free. And that really makes me feel happy. For years, I finally found, yes, I could do something good for this society. And then when times goes later, I also found that teachers from the prestigious graduate school, they don't really have much difference from the teachers in the college. They are basically read the slides. They are doing the same thing like the college teachers do. Yeah, obviously they're teachers. They're still college teachers. One is prestigious, one is just middle level. But I thought there could be a difference. Like, I started to doubt it because I prepared those students who came to me. I hold a program for them to equip them to enter a prestigious school, for them to enter some impossible choices for them. And I have to announce that 75% of them who enters my program, they enter the prestigious school. But the point is, I didn't see much difference between the famous schools and also the normal schools. And also time also comes from the last year. Our advisor asked us the same question: what's your future plan? Like, it probably be your last journey for your student career, so you have to make a plan. It's like master thing. The whole class, we have maybe 77 students for different majors, but at the same year, students from the same school, then all of them give some decent answers. When it came to me, I didn't expect that. The advisor would ask me for that question because the whole year I was disappointed about the school system, and I just acting passively. I just being nobody, invisible in the classroom, but have to commute each week my part-time job to make money and get through, afford my life expenses there. So I cannot remember. I didn't expect that she still remembers me. And that's how I just answered, no, actually, I don't have an answer. Maybe a free answer, maybe? And the advisor answers like, oh, you have to figure it out. It's very important and you don't have much time. The freelancer is unstable. Never, ever will people could make a living from that. So all of my other peers, they choose to be a teacher, either work for the government or either for the industries. And I didn't have any ideas because I know I don't like those choices, even though I don't know what I want. So after I graduated, managed to graduate from the graduate school, the advisor keeps everybody who graduated from the class to update their data, like which platform or which school, which form, which government branch they entered in, so they could submit their data to the school could show it in the government, then all around. So I keep questioning about that. After graduate 6 months, this advisor still questioned me. They want a descent data to prove that the graduate school is able to send students to get a decent job. They want the data mix well. So since then, I think when I look back on the whole process, my school journey, it's like, yes, the prophecy is true. Our school is just making sausages in the factory. They prepare us, no mistakes, uniformed. If you have some extra like things, they cut it off to make you like similar with other peers. And then you have to always make sure the buckets, the bottom level is in the same line with your other thing. It's not good to have a high level of bucket branch, the bucket wood, because it would just leak away. Your knowledge will leak away. So they suggest you to focus on the shortest bucket part instead of the highest part. And if you act indifferently, they would accuse you of something. They treat you like you're a weirdo, and they make you feel like you are horrible. They make you feel like you don't have a bright future. All of things makes you afraid of your future because you don't want to lose it. Once you make one step by mistake, you would lose them all. And then, like when all the process make sure like there's no mistake well formed in the pipeline, finally they make you enter into the factory, in the industry to get a job. That's their destiny. That's their goal. They want you. The school system is like making sausages to prepare to be sold in the job market. And everyone told you like the next stage is fine, you will be fine, but it never ends. Once you get into the job market, you still have some tough stages to get through with. The work environment still treat you like you are nobody, you cannot be yourself, you have to be the one they wanted you to be. It's like you are not being yourself, even though you are a person, you are yourself. And you feel unhappy, you keep doubting yourself again and again. Every stage of the school system, they keep telling you the same story. As long as you make through here, you would get better. But when you reach the next stage, you feel like, yes, it's the same. And then you keep doubting your past experiences, but still have to move on to the next stage and get the answer that's still the same. How tough it will be when you still keep training like this. You are not a human here. You are just a sausage. You are not allowed to be yourself. How can you be something different when you cannot be yourself? If you haven't reached the level to be yourself, how can you be outstanding? And I think that's the reason why. That's the reason why 140 millions of people cannot produce one MrBeast, because there is no one. They are just sausages in the market. They are just people keep making sausages and prove it. They are good to make these sausages and to sell, and then again and again and again in the same loop. And each person has different stories. They try to make it the same situation. But even though they are making you as sausages, you still have to remember you are not. And life is never stopped here once you want to be different. Life just started again, started twice when you realize that you are not a sausage. That's my point. I hope you enjoy. If you have any further questions or anything wanted to know, please let me know and comment below.